You've heard of speed painting. You've heard of the slap chop method. Let me introduce you today to the sloppy method, which is how I'm painting Thunderhead, this awesome giant model from Warmachine. And it turned out a lot better than I thought it would. As a miniature painting content creator, I am always trying to find my method, my way of painting, my style, if you will, that I can be like, hey, look, Little D painted this, you can tell because of this, this, and this. And no, I didn't want it to be because this is so sloppy. But when I started painting this giant model, and I shouldn't say giant because it's not giant, but it's pretty good sized, okay? For a tabletop model. And when I started painting it, I always forget just how long it takes to paint a bigger model. Like, if you're wondering why content creators paint like one miniature and it's like one little guy, it's because in a week they can do a really nice job on that little model. The reason they avoid bigger stuff most of the time is because it takes forever. Okay, and so this one's taken with the kit bashing that I've done to it, the conversion that I've done to it, to open up his arms, to do the lightning and things like that. This is a month-long project already, but I have had a blast doing it, and so I kind of want to show you my step-by-step of how I did that and see what you think. First things first, before I got into the actual painting with the brush, I airbrushed this, okay, using the Stormguard blue and just some thinner through an airbrush. I painted the whole thing, and then I added a couple drops of just white ink to that to do lighter spots across, kind of the top areas. It wasn't a huge difference, you can see it a tiny bit, but I really liked that, and I thought I'll just do the whole thing, get a nice base coat down, and then I started painting the metalwork with this Rulik gold, and really liking this, so I'll keep doing that. I got a bunch of that to finish up on, and then we'll start going and we'll make this the grimdark Thunderhead that I have seen in my dreams. Okay, so after I did all of the metalwork that I wanted to do on this, as you can see there's a good chunk of that, I decided to hit the places that I wanted to be white. And originally I had started with the ice yellow, and because I really like this, but as you can see I did not stick to the ice yellow. I actually ended up moving over to the Grey Lord, and I really like this, and it goes on really good. I mean, this is just one coat in most areas, covers the blue really well, and it just came out looking really good. So I'm going to finish doing that. As you can see, I got to do these pieces here and some other stuff, and then we'll move on to the next spot. So as I've been painting this, I have kind of come to a simple realization that I can do it one of two ways. I can do messy and try out some new techniques, or I can just keep it clean and not make it the way I want. So I've decided I'm going to make it messy and try some stuff out. And to do that, I'm going to do a wash. I'm going to do an oil wash on it. I've actually made myself some burnt umber oil wash that I'm going to apply to it a little later. At the same time, I was making my white wash for doing the highlights and things like that I want to do for the OSL. But before I can do that, I got to make sure everything's painted. And so, using Deathless Metal, which is an awesome dark bronzish metallic, I need to paint these undersides of the unit, and so I'm going to try and do that quickly because we're running out of time, and honestly I just want to get this thing looking amazing as quick as I can. I guess I should probably show off just exactly what I'm doing. Just a cool dark metallic. I've already done it on the fingers, if you can see that, and it just looks really good. And if you look at the cover art for Thunderhead, they've actually painted this, but the shadows and stuff, the way that they do them, you can't really tell, which was kind of interesting. Anyway, start here, and the next step is the scary one. Okay, so now we're to the scary part, okay? Because I have painted this and I like how it looks. No, I haven't done the lightning and stuff like that yet, but overall, I like how the mech looks. And normally, this is when I would start doing all my edge highlights, you know, and try and do some blending and make the armor panels look worn, things like that. But I'm not going to. No, what I'm going to do right now is hit it with a dirty brown wash. An oil wash, okay? And I'm going to be applying it with a little sponge here that I've made a little uneven on purpose. And honestly, if this goes wrong, I'm going to be extremely sad. But I want to point out a couple things. The legs, I could have done more work on the legs. Like, I honestly thought, oh, I should put more metallics and things like that in the legs. But when I do the OSL, I think that's all going to be, I hope, let me rephrase that. I hope that it won't matter because there will be so much light from the lightning itself that all you'll be able to see is the light. And so those metallics and things won't matter, but only time will tell. So anyway, let's get this started and see what happens. I'm nervous, sorry. And now you don't have to do everything. Keep in mind that we're going to be wiping a lot of this off when we're done. And if there's parts that you want to keep shiny and new, you can. You don't have to apply it everywhere. Okay, and I'm definitely going to try and keep it off the metallics as much as I can because, well, I just painted them. And when you're removing a wash, like we're going to be doing, typically you want really dry paint. And see, this is kind of more of what I'm going for, is this, let me bring it up here. It's not completely dark, but it's dark. It looks like this thing has been in the mud. That's the goal, right? And I'm going to come back over these parts that I originally hit that were so dark, and we're going to remove that. Oops. Got some of my lightning. That's okay. Oop, I dropped my sponge. And we're going to just do this over the whole body. I can't say enough good things about Warmachine and where it's going and the company as a whole. Like, it just seems like they're listening to customers and doing their best to get this game out in front of as many people as possible. Whether that's allowing them to 3D print it, returning old factions. They are listening to people, and I love that about them. But I also love the style of these miniatures. Thunderhead, Behemoth, oh man. Some of these super heavy warjacks that they've just released are amazing, and the ones they announced at Adepticon are just getting better. There's even going to be one for my Gravedigger army that I can't wait to put together and show off. So stick around, it'll be great. And as always, if you're looking for more Warmachine content, there's tons of content creators out there. My favorite is the Ice King, who will be back from his hiatus here in the next month or so, and he'll start putting out content again, and he is amazing. I'll put a link to his channel below. Dude's awesome, and just is the best person you could hope to meet when getting into a hobby, especially one like Warmachine. So I'll put his information below. Oh man. Okay, so he's dirtied. He's mucked up. I'm not going to leave it look like this because, I mean, this looks like he just fought his way out of a diaper or something. But I was able to get it everywhere that I wanted it. I've left it out of some key points because I feel like I'm going to be painting those white for OSL. Like, I tried to plan ahead, which I guess if I learned anything from doing this, planning ahead, well, we'll see. I was going to say it'll make your life easier, but it might not if this goes to crap. So anyway, we're going to let this dry for about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to start to remove it with some cotton swabs and hopefully get the grimdark Thunderhead that I want. Okay, so I actually went in and applied a little bit more afterwards because I thought it's one of those things that doing more kind of like, you can always take it off. You can always take off as much as you want, and so you might as well have a good amount of it on there when you start to take it off. But yeah, so now I just got the lid of this that I put some of that mineral spirits in, and you don't want too much of it, but we're just going to come on and start taking that off in those areas that we don't want it on there. Okay, and you can do as much as you want, and you can make it look how you want, and hopefully I will like how it looks when it's done, and I won't just be sad about what I have done. But that's what I'm going to do for the next little bit. So let's jump ahead to when I have removed all of that and where we're at and what we think. And I got a bunch of these cotton swabs to do this. I've seen people do it with sponges. I just like doing cotton swabs. I feel like I can get in there and do what I need to do. But we shall see. We were able to get it off. And look how good it looks. Looks worn, looks like it's been through a battle. When we get that reflective lightning on it, oh, it's gonna look even better. And so now it's time to start doing that. And you can always go back in and do like touch-ups with the original paint on here, and it'll just be the right color. So that is always an option to do as well. But ultimately, I am very, very happy with how our war-torn Warjack looks. Okay, so I've started putting down my white for doing my OSL. As you can see, I've got some white in there and in these ones, in this little thing right here. And I kind of wanted to show off why I used the oil paint. And I'm not saying it's the only paint that does this, but I really like that I can put it on my brush, have my brush absorb it, and then come here and just push this down on that main one and just kind of go in the direction that I want it to go in, and it will just fill in those holes. I love that. And now when I come over and I do a little dry brushing with white ink afterwards, the points that I want to be super bright will be because of this, and it will dry there and it'll be super fun. So now I just gotta keep going and doing all of the lines that are around all of this stuff, making them nice and white, and then we'll be able to start doing some airbrushing and hopefully get that OSL done. Also, I am probably going to hit all of these with this white and get these as white as I possibly can, and I like using this oil paint, so hopefully that'll be all we need to do. Let's jump to that. Okay, so one of the things I always forget to mention is that with oil paints, which I've got on here, I love how it has turned out, but oil paints take a while to dry. So I can't really touch any of this because it's all wet. And so I thought, well, what can I work on while that's drying? And I'm going to do the highlights with ink and my airbrush on the unit itself, because it's going to have to glow a little bit. So I'm going to try and get those areas that are close to the lightning bolt so it looks a little bit more there, and shine it up from down below so it'll look almost darker on top than it does at the bottom. But that makes sense because the lightning is coming from below. And then once everything has dried, I'm going to move over to just some acrylic fluorescent blue and hit it with that and see if we like it or not. So let's do it. And that's it. That's how Thunderhead turned out after all the work that I have put into it. Sure, there's a couple little things I do want to touch up before I have him just like done and say that he's finished, if you ever say that they're finished. But overall, I love how he has turned out, and it's just been an awesome, great model. And like I said, I cannot wait for the Gravedigger super heavy to come out. And if you want to see that, like, subscribe, stick around. I do a lot of Warmachine stuff. I do Infinity stuff, Warcrow. I do a little bit of everything. I'm trying to narrow it down so I'm not just like all over the place, but there's just so many good games out there. But yeah, like, subscribe, stick around if you want to see that. And the last thing that I want to say about this model, whenever you kit bash or put things together and make it yours, it just makes the model feel so much better and you like it so much more, hopefully, right? And so just doing that conversion on this has been so much fun. And I look forward to doing that more and more in the future. And I would love to see the conversions that you've got, you know, hear about your favorite conversion and what made it your favorite conversion. And if you have any love for Warmachine, drop it in the comments below. Let me know. I'd love to hear what got you into it. If you don't like Warmachine and want to see content of something else, let me know in the comments below. I'm always open to trying new things. Like I said, I'm trying to compress what I do content on, but I feel like trying out new games is going to be an integral part of this. I'll just try to do it, you know, once every couple of months instead of every other week. But thank you for coming and watching this and seeing my completed version of Thunderhead. It was a blast to paint and to work on. Altogether, I had fun with it, start to finish. My sloppy method ended up working just the way I hoped it would. Yeah, some of my paint didn't look great, but when I did that wash over the top of it, you couldn't tell anymore. And when you do OSL, it blends even more of that in. Now, is it the sharpest, cleanest model that's out there? No, of course not. But it's a good looking model. And that's what I was going for. So, try new things. Generally, you won't regret it. Because you'll learn. Either you'll learn that it works or you'll learn that it doesn't, but you'll learn something. And, as always, don't spend so much time building your world, your models, that you forget to spend some time with them. Until next time.